Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Downs.
And I'm Elsa Ramon. If you thought the mudslinging on the Republican presidential campaign trail couldn't get any lower, it has.
After a series of tweets starting the flames, Donald Trump and his Twitter account seem to have taken politics to a new low.
We now bring in political reporter Dave Bryan to sift through the last 48 hours of political shame. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I have not.
No.
I haven't. You know, just when you think you've seen everything and it couldn't get any stranger, boom, here it is, right? I mean, just out of left field.
Yeah.
It's been 2 days now of insults, taunts, and tough guy talk. No, this isn't two guys mouthing off in a bar. These are the two leading candidates for the Republican presidential nomination. And today it was Ted Cruz who came out firing at Donald Trump.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
The tough talk to Trump from Ted Cruz came after Donald Trump retweeted these photos of Cruz's wife Heidi on the left and Trump's wife Melania, a former model, on the right. The caption, "The images are worth 1,000 words."
Let me be absolutely clear. Our spouses and our children are off bounds. It is not acceptable for a big, loud New York bully to attack my wife.
The Trump posting even triggered an incredulous response from Fox News anchor and frequent Trump target Megyn Kelly, who wrote, "Seriously?" It's the latest episode in what's turning into a presidential campaign soap opera, with a flurry of personal insults about the candidates' wives. It was this 16-year-old GQ magazine photo of Melania that was posted by a super PAC supporting Cruz that started the whole thing, with the heading, "Meet Melania Trump, your next first lady." Or the bottom line says, you could support Ted Cruz. An infuriated Trump warned, "Be careful, Lion Ted, or I will spill the beans on your wife." Cruz responded his campaign wasn't behind it, it came from a super PAC, and he accused Trump of having a problem with strong women.
Real men don't try to bully women. That's not an action of strength. That's an action of weakness. It's an action of fear. It's an action of a small and petty man who is intimidated by strong women.
Now, some members of the GOP establishment are worried the biggest victim of all this may be the Republican Party. Here's what House Speaker Paul Ryan said.
And when passions flare, ugliness is sometimes inevitable. But we shouldn't accept ugliness as the norm.
And Cruz is warning that if Trump is the Republican nominee, it could cost the GOP the election.
Donald Trump is a train wreck, and he hands the election to Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump is a gift wrapped in a pink little bow.
I think this is just bad for Donald Trump. It reinforces the whole misogyny issue that we talk about. We recall the statement about Carly Fiorina, "Look at that face." We recall his problems with Megyn Kelly.
Loyola Marymount University political science professor Fernando Guerra believes Trump has gone too far this time, and he could pay the price in the fall general election if he's the nominee. And if he fires up alienated women and Latino voters.
For Latino mobilization, there'll be no greater factor than a Trump candidacy in November. That is going to tremendously increase the Latino vote, and they're going to vote against Republicans all up and down the ticket. Women as well. Women are going to come out to vote against Donald Trump, and I think that should really concern the Republican Party.
Now, a new Bloomberg Politics poll this week indicates Professor Guerra may be onto something. The poll has Hillary Clinton leading Trump by nearly 20 points in a one-on-one race. And perhaps more disturbing to Trump is the poll found only 29% of likely voters have a favorable impression of him. 68% view him negatively. Wow.
Wow. And Dave, I know we just heard from Paul Ryan, but what about the Republican Party as a whole? Is this having any sort of impact on their brand?
It's a good question, because that's different from affecting Trump, right? We're talking about something here. Well, that's the big concern of the GOP establishment, that while Trump's core supporters love him and will not be deterred no matter what he says or does, the rest of the country is not necessarily so taken with him. In fact, quite the contrary in many cases. And while his supporters are enough to win Republican primaries, it could be a whole different story in the general election. And the party establishment fears if that's how it plays out, Trump could take down a whole lot of Republican Congress members and senators with him. They fear a big turnout in November of highly motivated Latino voters, women voters, as we just saw, and others who are offended by him. Could be a disaster for the party. Elsa?